personally no stranger to motions of no confidence, having been the second minister to face a motion of no confidence. But until recently, Presiding Officer, there was another course of action that could have been taken. On the 19th of April, I wrote to the First Minister outlining my concerns on the Minister's ability to help reset the Scottish Government's relationship with business and deliver a workable DRS that commanded the confidence of producers, industry and consumers. At that time, my solution was removing ministerial responsibility for the DRS from Lorna Slater, a solution that was sensible and would have helped reset that relationship with business and get us a scheme in place. I've actually still received no official reply, but I do know the First Minister's spokesperson said that the First Minister had full confidence in Lorna Slater. I do accept that Lorna Slater is not the only minister at fault. After all, it was the SNP's Rosanna Cunningham that pushed ahead with the legislation, and it has been championed heavily by First Ministers. But Lorna Slater was in charge of the scheme and is responsible for the mess we have now. This is difficult to listen to, but I have a short period. The Minister, no I won't, the Minister failed to listen to businesses and stakeholders. Stakeholders such as GS1 UK and British Glass who told me they were not given meetings with the Minister despite repeated requests, and local businesses did not get meetings with the Minister until MSPs asked for those meetings. Leaving local authorities in the dark also happened, not seeing them as potential partners, leaving them unable to prepare for the financial impact on their waste services. And the Scottish Government failed to request a DRS IMA exclusion request for 6 months. But last week at the Net Zero Committee, Lorna Slater washed her hands of all responsibility for the work of the CSL. Despite questions from MSPs on viability,
Excuse me, Ms Boyack, can I ask that all the conversations that are going on over the aisles cease? Ms Boyack.
She said that these were matters for industry, and in response to my topical question today, we learned that CSL has called in the administrators. I've stated previously that the Tory government's actions are indefensible, but the Scottish Government must also be held accountable for the decisions they've made. And, Presiding Officer, last week I discovered through an FOI that in February this year there were concerns over the viability of the August 23 go-live date. The Scottish Government's Director of Environment Forestry emailed officials in DEFRA saying, "Can we please meet urgently to what can be done to deliver a fast-track commitment to an IMA exemption within the next week. If it lingers beyond then, we run a very serious risk of compromising our 16th August go-live date." Now, in February, Lorna Slater and Nicola Sturgeon toured TV and radio studios, encouraging businesses to part with their cash and sign up for the scheme. And in this chamber, at the end of February, the Minister said Scotland's deposit return scheme remains on course to launch on 16th of August this year. So while the Minister painted a rosy picture for MSPs, her officials were warning that there was a very serious risk that the August 2023 go-live date wouldn't work. So businesses have invested hundreds of millions of pounds in a scheme that in private ministers knew was likely to be delayed, but Lorna Slater and Nicola Sturgeon left Scottish businesses in the dark. Then we'd the delay till March next year. Scottish businesses have been under immense financial stress and pressures, and the First Minister himself mentioned that hundreds of millions of pounds of investment has been made, but it will not now be used. We've had months of chaos and grandstanding. This SNP Green Government has now failed to deliver on reuse, recycling, tackling litter, and somebody must be held accountable. Presiding Officer, 2 months ago, I asked Humza Yousaf to take responsibility and remove Lorna Slater of ministerial responsibility for the DRS. At the end of the day, it is not fair for workers to lose their jobs as a result of government decisions and for Lorna Slater not to lose hers.